I don't know what type of video this is going to be. It might be one I keep for myself, but a bunch of stuff was coming through, and I end up catching the heathens wave. I love pause. I love the Suicide Squad. Like when it first came out, I watched it obsessively. I did not know what it was about that movie, but I'm starting to get it. So let's get into it. Let me just go ahead and flip screens. So this is like I guess I'm gonna say informal video. I'm just gonna take y'all through what I've been learning. I have not made any permanent decision or a thought or anything like that on this information. I'm just going through it and putting it together. And since we are in a saw-like system, or if you've ever seen the movie Cube, watch that one obsessively too. Now that I realize that we are simply just trying to remind ourselves, or our higher selves are trying to jog our memory the whole time, I'm looking back on things that I was drawn to in an obsessive way. It was like me trying to remind myself of something. And Cube was one of those things, but absolutely Suicide Squad. So yesterday, after I did my shower before midnight, I sat on the bed and I just kept hearing like, "You're a programmer. Anybody who works on these computers all day is a programmer of some sort." And I'm like, okay, that's cool. If that is the case, I will be able to find it in my book, because I realized that these are the blueprints for all the possibilities of a human. It's like all the angels and demons and all the traits that we are comprised of or can be made of are contained in the 360 degrees, right? We are built based upon the zodiac. And in a 12 by 12 cube, I'm getting. But when I see it, I am, spell his name on it. Where is it? Maybe if I type matrix. Come on now. There was a photo that like had it perfectly, but it's this dude. Okay, so that's the demiurge. That's the devil that everybody is afraid of. That's the actual being. And you realize you might not even heard the name Yaldabaoth before, but that's because like if you can get summoned or your energy can be called out, would you want anybody to know your name? No, you hide behind a million names. And of course, the photo I'm looking for is not in here. Oh, just when I gave up. So this is what I'm seeing, but I'm seeing it in cube format. Like Earth is in the middle, but it's inside of a grid that this energy rules, and that energy is Saturn. But that's the last tier before you get to God on the tree of life. You have to get past like the father's test, but it wasn't originally the dark father's test. It was Sophia's test. Like you had to go through Wonderland and come back out like she did. So with all that being said, I was like, okay, I have this information. I should be able to find the programmer stuff, right? Sure enough, and that's not even, I'm just in one folder, right? So when distorted, this is not the one. It is the fifth. I came with just the Aquarius folder. I should have. I didn't even realize I was spelling it wrong. I guess I need to look. There are only two placements, right? Join me on my scientific journey. I'm gonna do this and be easy on myself, because I also picked up that the deeper I go down the rabbit hole, or the more I get into the multiverse stuff, as opposed to more blanket astrology, that like less people will resonate with the material because there aren't as many of us who were programmers or who were programmed or who are awake enough to understand this knowledge. I wish I could get a ratio on how many people were like kilopath or shell people or NPC versus the ones that were like beings of source that were thrown into the system. And I'm thinking of this right now like unfortunately, a jail. So I would like you guys to think of fallen angels, but don't think of them as fallen angels. Think of them as aliens. Like we're all different types of aliens, right? One group of them that knew how to fight beat up everybody else because everybody else was very peaceful, right? And then when they collected all the royals and the smartest of the other beings, they made sure that they like bugged them pretty much, like put programming and stuff on them, and then put them into Earth because Earth is the main resource that the bad guys want to control. Because the energy that you can siphon from the beings that are still connected to source is what sustains the army that beat everybody up because they are disconnected from source. They didn't have their own food supply. So the energy of the others is the food supply. So this means there are two different types of programmers, guys. There are those that got a program put on them and then kind of like clones or bots or even Winter Soldier. My son keeps talking to me about that one. A program was put on you for you to keep the others in line, like a handler. From what I'm like getting, that's if you have Aquarius or stuff in Aquarius between the 15th and 20th degree. Either you were just straight up programmed or a program was put on you, or you ended up behind the screen, like doing it with the others, right? But this one up here, the cat 15 to 20, baby, that one doesn't have a program on them. Like they might be in the character, but that's like the big handler. That's the one that handles the others. That's the puppeteer programmer, if you will. I probably get a lot more out of the Matrix if I watched it now than that first time when all I was wondering is why is this Oracle lady smoking so many cigarettes? And oh my goodness, Keanu Reeves is hot. Like, yeah, oh my gosh. So our programs are what I've been reading to y'all this whole time. And the reason I was able to create the book was because I was one of the people programmed to help them with their program, which leads to why did I come out of that screen? I gotta show y'all this shit. Which leads to this, right? Gemini placements between the 25th and the 30th degree belong to Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is like the asylum that they kept everybody at, like for the programming or after they had been programmed and stuff. And it's like where the big bads are, like the dark triad, the puppeteer people I was talking about, everybody, they all hang out in Betelgeuse, right? But look what the distortion or the program does. And this is the main concern here. Puts intelligence at the service of dark forces. My Venus, like my value, is at the 28th degree of Gemini, where this place is, right? They invert, or they inverted with these programs or these distortions that are on your character. Keep in mind, depending on what mood you're in, you can embody either energy. But the distortion is meant to make you fall back into a loop. Like, imagine me using my gifts for this if I was an evil. This would not be good. I can find all the mutants. And that's what I've been sitting over here trying to figure out for months, guys. Like, I've been talking to y'all about this stuff, but I've also like been clocking my own gifts, if you will, and the things that pop up. And I'm like, this ain't normal. But if you're telling me that because of my initial gifts, which were all of these, that I'm actually like getting in gate of memory, that sounds important. But when I tap into stuff now, I can pretty much remember it. And then I have to Google it to see if it's already written down in history somewhere for me to feel like it's grounded. So we were taken from our regular forms, and then like an overlay was put on us, but it's a different overlay in every life based upon what the system has had us reprogrammed as again. Okay. So that's like every new birth chart is a different mask that's been put on your actual energy. Your actual self is the draconic chart, or at least the self that was how it was put into the system. So I was doing some digging around this morning for somebody else, just like they popped in my head. That's been driving me, right? Uh, but what I got is like back to the future vibes. But for us right now, like this is the past. We came back to fix something. Last week, I told myself that it was important that I probably got a 12 monkeys tattoo on my arm. If you've never seen the movie 12 Monkeys, let me catch you up. 12 Monkeys is a movie about what's that dude? Bruce Willis. Well, Bruce Willis is the main guy. He is like a scientist or a police officer or something from the future, and they send him back into the past because there is a bomb that destroys a whole bunch of stuff, or some monkeys that get out and infect a bunch of people. Is something I don't really remember that part because I watched it once and it was just to get this message. But as he's back in the past, everybody tries to confuse him and make him feel like he's crazy. So every now and then, his team has to like pull his consciousness back in and be like, bruh, do not forget. Don't let them confuse you. This is really the future here. You're doing a mission. When you go back in there, remember what you came for the mission for. So when I thought about the 12 Monkeys tattoo, that was supposed to be like a grounding reminder. Like you came here to do something, but this is the past before they know that what you are capable of in this life is even possible, which was a lot. So if this is a back to the future thing, we are in the past trying to fix something. It feels like a bunch of people that were meant to be a part of the age of Aquarius, the wave where everybody rises up into like humans in power, kind of dawn of the planet of the apes, which we won't even get into today, but that's what I'm sensing is supposed to be happening. There's a different group of people connected to the programmers, connected to the tree of death, the Kilopah, the NPC people that are literally just characters here meant to be antagonizing, are doing such a good job at depressing everyone that some people are not moving towards their mission. They're stuck in whatever trauma loop they've been stuck in forever. So imagine you have been in a quantum computer for thousands of years. The programmers that never enter the game, the ones that are outside the screen, and I'm getting like a vision like of Cabin in the Woods. You don't have to watch the whole movies when I tell you all these movies. Just go watch like a Cliff Notes version on YouTube. Like this movie explains so you can understand what I'm talking about. In the movie Cabin in the Woods, you see that there's a whole scary movie plot going on, but then they show you behind the scenes that there's a group of people on computers. So every time that the people in the scary movie start doing some smart stuff that moves them away from danger, they start throwing things in their way. So they get put in positions to die, to suffer, to fail the mission. Like they'll make the temperature change. They'll like whisper a message like "go outside," so this person thinks it's their idea. Like all sorts of stuff to make you fumble stuff. That's what I am picking up is the issue right now. It's like not enough. I was about to say like pods deployed, but the people who woke up didn't wake up. Like they didn't reach the vibration they needed to wake up. Like something's off, is what I'm personally feeling here. So when I went to go check on like that client stuff today, I was like, what is the factor messing up the Terminators? Even think about the fact that Terminators come into this world naked, right? No, some of us came here to move things along, regardless of the program that was put on us. It's like God can wake you up. That's the easiest way to put it. The other angels can wake you up. You can break out of the program while you're in this life, which is how I am able to talk to you guys here. I definitely would not have been able to discuss any of this with you three or more years ago. So now I need to go to this info so I can explain that. So your Ori. Let's get into this. This is the part of yourself that they cannot capture. Mariah Carey song, they can't take that away from me. There's a light in me that you cannot harm, that you cannot reach because they can't even see it. They can't even fathom it, but it is the thing that they want the most. The reptilian, draconian, the evil army, they are jealous of those that have a soul, and they have been much like Mustache Dude who put all those people in cages. That's like literally exactly what they did in space. It was the first Holocaust. But they are trying to figure out how to push a soul into their bots. They want that ability to create. It's just like the record labels, right? Because let's think about how that works. The people at the top, most of the time, don't actually have a talent, but they collect the others that have a talent. It's that same group that is collecting the souls to feed off of their energy. Just here, it translates into getting talented people to take their money and their creativity, the masters. I don't know how it works in acting, but to feed off of the talent of other people because they don't have a talent of their own. That's sort of what a controller or a handler does anyway. As a like a lead controller, a lower level one just keeps somebody else in line for the system. This is like when you're in a gang, there's a gang leader that everybody listens to. That would be the controller, the main person. Everybody else would be a handler, because if you decide you want to leave the gang and you say something to one of the other members, they're going to be like, don't do that. And then if they're really a douche, they'll go tell the leader so that everybody else gangs up on you. That's how the controller system works, and how it works down here when you try to break out of the program and you start trying to talk to other people like, hey, did you know about such and such? And then you can see them go blank for a second. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then they start making you feel like an asshole. But it's a program that's already put on them. When you start waking up, you are integrating your soul. In Yoruba, they call it your Ori, or your head. This is your higher self. So let me just read this. I'm not going to read that word and mess it up. The Ori is the Yoruba term for the spiritual or inner head, which is distinct from the physical head. It's considered the essence of a person's personality, and it is thought to guide their lives and activities. Before you wake up or before you log into your higher self, which is connected to your crown, that's the voice that gets you to God, right? And look at the bottom of that, connection to the creator, the consciousness that connects each person to the creator. It is absolutely your crown, your crown chakra too. It has been blocked off before now. But when you tap into it, you start remembering, this is just the character I'm playing. The program breaks. It's not who you are anymore. You start remembering your other lives, your other existences, like what you came for. And it causes a distortion amongst the other people, and even a jealousy, if you will, because they're still stuck in the program. They're still stuck in their characters. So here is called an adept, one who has achieved the level of spiritual attainment where their persona, which is the character you're playing, is subdued and in control by a spirit for the purpose of implementing its will amongst the living. This is an ascended master, somebody who has pretty much hacked their human so that they are walking around everybody else as an eternal, but like they're inside a human. They have a whole storyline that is blending them in. I think some of these people came online and were like, they didn't do some of the work, the spiritual work that would have put them in the right position. They're still lost in their character, in their persona. Like if I call the persona is the base and simple personality, behavior, behavioral, and emotional complexes and mind of an individual, none of which are divine or immortal. In short, the transitory parts of an individual, which perish upon death or are left behind as the shade. The shade is just like a shell of self that like didn't get over this life ending. The persona has no higher will of its own, and therefore must work to know and accomplish the will of its spirit. In this way, the persona is the primary tool or the spirit to accomplish the will in the material world. Your character was created with a dual purpose. You can either work for the system as your distortion, or you can step into your higher self and embody the upper gifts. I was on here trying to figure out the programmer part. No, that's the wrong one. Why is it still on my screen? Trying to figure out the programmer part, right? So I had this client that was talking to me, and she talks to me quite often. And I was like, what is my connection to this person? I don't understand. So I was guided to ask her for her mother's info. And it's like, I was fixing a mother wound because of how important this woman is, or helping hold the space for it, because her mother had a dark mother programming on her. And I'm like, well, what's the dark mother program, right? The dark mother, an alien mother. But it's like because this is really like super complicated. It's the version of your mother that has been like other mothered, flipped inside out. She does not give you what you need at all. It's a program put on certain people. And some of them I think are reversals, if I'm gonna keep it 100. But there's programs for everything. And this whole time I didn't understand, like, I'm on this website and I'm finding different stuff, but I did not understand how the programs were coming through, or the fact that the charts that I have freaking been reading, y'all, represent what was put on you. Hold on. Getting kind of sick. So hold on. Every trauma that happens here is meant to disconnect you from your soul, so that you are stuck in the character and you never want to connect to your soul because you don't want to feel the pain. So I have a whole bunch of tabs going across the top of my screen here, going over the distortions that were put on the feminine energy, right? Like an unholy trinity placed. And I went over this with y'all, like they have a whole pitchfork going through the galaxy, siphoning energy from us. But I found the Inky's worship programming, what got put on the guys. And is this the right one? I think I need to look under Inky's army. There we go. So Inky is the same thing as the snake. It's the same thing as Samael, guys. The issue here can be found in this section. So what they did to the guys, and I hope y'all can see the link up there just in case, so you can come to Ascension Glossary and just type in Inky's Army, because this website is one of the few that I've ever come across that you can only type in stuff to find it. You can't just come to this website and be like, what's around here? Like, it's encrypted in that way. So the result of the light body invasion, that's when everybody got put in them cages because you had a soul, appears that the person is spiritually decapitated. And this was done to the males on purpose. The Inky worship program put in its place from the collarbone up. It's a severe spiritual disfiguration, and I've not seen a person be able to rehabilitate from this earth plane. However, with true love, anything is possible, although it must take some time if that person actually chooses to rehabilitate themselves from committing severe power abuses. So what's happened here is these programs were put on guys to create narcissism, vanity, pride, self-entitlement, superiority, polyamory, a lack of accountability, no self-responsibility, with little to no emotional development. Empathy and compassion may be mimicked in words, but not genuine, because there is no higher heart complex. They may be highly mentally developed, but incredibly emotionally stunted, may have been involved in Black power abuse. Did I say Black power abuse? I remixed all that. Power abuses, Black magic rituals, spreading of sexual addictions at some point in their lifetimes. But all of these are things that happened during the programming. I was not getting how a program could be placed on your soul, but it's not placed on your soul. It's placed on your psyche. And that's really where I am messed up, right? Because your psyche is connected to your brain, right? Or I thought it was. Psyche definition: the human soul, mind, or spirit. So no, it's not just the brain. I was like, if I was burnt with cigarettes as a child, I would have a fear of cigarettes, or I'd hate them. And there would be a reason in this lifetime. What kind of damage could be done to my soul that would affect this lifetime? I was not picking up on how me being programmed up here would change the way I behave down in this lifetime. But the psyche, It's like the brain of your soul is what I'm getting. The mental or psychological structure of a person or motivating force. No, your psyche is beyond this body. It's a part of your soul. So something can happen to your soul and you still be affected by it down here. Interesting. So whatever program or trauma, because the programming that was done to us initially, that broke us, that made us able to be manipulated, I guess, is something similar to MK Ultra. What you see here, where the guys have been like their higher hearts have been ruined, your heart is the main engine. It speaks the truth of the lower chakras, which keep you bound in this human thing. The root, the sacral, and the solar plexus keep you really bound into the human experience, or they're meant to be how you enjoy it. The heart is supposed to feel all the stuff from that, but your open heart is supposed to connect you to the throat chakra, which allows you to speak the truth of your experience. And then your third eye, which gives you your own like compass, if you will, like the plug to your higher self. And then your crown, which connects you to source. So you have a guidance no matter what, like you have GPS, even if you go offline. But if they broke somebody's heart so horribly before they got here, they would not work on trying to fix that. They would be stuck in their character. And it's on here somewhere that like there are some guys whose hearts are so broken by what they have done or what has happened to them in other lives that they don't want to heal their hearts. Like the process of feeling that pain makes them run from it. In a horrible self-example. Trigger warning. All of this, I'm going to put trigger warning when I post this. So when I started getting my memories back, now keep in mind, let me take the glasses off of this. In a weird, twisted way, no, even if you don't remember what happened to you, you are still magnetizing things that remind you of it. In the things you watch, and you might feel some type of way after you watch it, even though you don't understand why, in the people that are around you and the things that people say. Like the first time 211 played Fancy for me, it's like sometimes his energy is just meant to trigger the fuck out of me. I think maybe he got some handler shit. Oh, oh. Okay. All right. So that's another subject. Some handler stuff on it to make sure that you stay in a low vibration. But the first time I heard the song Fancy by Reba, I felt awful. Like I hated it. Like I never want to hear this song again, only to find out that there had been many lifetimes where, much like Rose and Titanic, my mom did realize that her dude was interested or some other dude was interested. And in order for her not to have to work or to be in a comfy position, she would sell me. She would give me up. She would let people touch me. Like I wouldn't have never been able to figure that out. It didn't happen to me in this life. She took the L. The contract was on her in this life. Her Saturn was in Aries, so some way she learned. But that feeling was still really gross with me. But when I started getting my actual past life memories back, I went to go make contact with him one day, eye contact, and he turned his eyes. He always does that. Like he can never hold eye contact with me for long. And my mind started processing, like, why do we have a hard time with eye contact? Y'all, there was a point during slavery where in order to break us, they would sexually assault me in front of him. So he would feel powerless and couldn't do anything to stop it. And then there were times that they would sexually assault him in front of me, like as slaves, just as a way to break us and break the relationship. But it's been like how long since slavery? It doesn't matter how many lives we have reincarnated together afterwards. We had not been able to make eye contact with each other because of what happened in that particular life. Like there was a shame that was still residing at the psyche level. Our synastry is like bound in the eighth house because of that. My south node in his eighth house. Our Saturns are both in Scorpio in that area. But stuff like that could be why you feel bound to a person or why the relationship just won't, because there are certain things that are difficult to handle. Now, women are, as messed up as it is, we come from, let me show y'all this shit. The pillar of severity. This is like the tree of hard knocks. Right? Is this the best one to show you guys on? No, this would be the best one. So, no, don't show me no video. Just give me no photo. I'm gonna go, just pull up the photo. Open image in new tab. Love it. I've always been really good with computers, y'all. I used to write code in high school. I didn't even pass any of my math because I hated it, but I would skip math class and go to the computer lab. I learned how to code. Like I would memorize the code so I can help everybody with their MySpace and their oh, what was it, Black Planet pages at the time. Like everybody else's page was all still, but mine had like moving text. I was able to put my own pictures in it. I had music because I had an understanding of code naturally. Now I'm like, my whole life was a lie. All of this was a lie. And after I get over the shock, I feel a new level of ability developing to understand these charts. Like I can read it to you about the character that you are now and what you were programmed to do in this life, but how God wants to use it for the good, because they can only take you for who you are and your skills, but they can just make everything around you happen so horribly that you become the worst version of that. I feel like this will be like an advantage in the future as soon as it's done downloading. But for right now, I hope y'all rock with me. I'm all over the place, but now I know why. My brain has like 3 different programs going on at one time. I thought it was ADD. So if you come in through feminine energy, you're on the pillar of severity. That is because you represent Alice. Uh, if you come in through masculine energy, you came through the pillar of mercy, which is where Jesus is at the top. Bina or Sophia is on the other side. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. I saw a post, that's my geese, a post the other day where somebody was like, you can't use sage, that causes demons in. And I caught myself being triggered. So I had to sit with myself for a second. Whenever I see Christian people say what I'm doing is evil, I always take a small pause just because I was raised Christian, Catholic, and Jehovah's Witness and everything else in between, right? So I'm aware that every single one of those books has a big thing. Like everybody in my family looks at me sideways because of this. Like I'm a sex worker or something. Like it might have even been better if I was a sex worker than this, right? But I paused and I was like, hold on. People who identify with Jesus and won't listen to any other information have chosen the path of mercy. This means the victory belongs to Jesus. You don't want to know nothing else. You ain't got to know what's on the side of the closet. You don't need to know about no sage or nothing. Whenever you have a problem, you're going to call on Jesus. Why? Because Jesus represents the one that just listens to the Father. He doesn't, it's like Simba before he went into the dark lands on his own. When he just listened to his dad all the time and he just took the knowledge in and he was being prepared to be a king who didn't have to go through any of the difficulties. That's the Christ or the mercy pillar. Those people are saying, hey, I believe in Jesus, so I ain't got to know about demons. I ain't got to know about none of this stuff y'all are learning over here because I have made the decision that I'm going to just go with mercy. I don't need to know. I am going to trust the word. All right. And you can't fault anybody for that. It is your own personal trigger. The same way that they are triggered by the fact that you decided to go into the severity. This represents when, was that Nala who talked him into it? I don't know. I don't remember that part of the Lion King. When Simba decided, hey, I want to know what's in that elephant graveyard. We about to go. And then it set off a whole nother storyline where he had to go off, lose himself, and then find himself again just to come back to get his crown anyway. Either way, you're going to get the crown. It's just about how you went about it. Through the pillar of mercy, you walked the path straight and narrow, and you trusted all the rules as they were written there. Through the path of severity, you fucked around and found out. You did not just want to take anybody else's information for your own. This means that you fell down some hills. You got attacked by some hyenas. You went through some things, but at the end, you now have the same knowledge that the energy on the pillar of mercy does. Just one has it because they listened to the Father, and the other one has it because they went through everything and they came back to the Father like, dang, you was right. Both Jesus and Sophia have the same knowledge. They just got it different ways. That's why the middle is the pillar of balance. The truth of light and dark. The tree of good and evil. You don't have to go that way. You can take what's told to you, but some people aren't going to. And in most cases, that's the feminine energy. It is what it is, right? So the female energy naturally has an ability to bounce back from the hardest shit. I mean, look at it. You get periods for like the good part of your life. When you lose your virginity, it sucks. Childbirth, uh, people trying to steal your goodies all the time. It's just a lot of shell work that comes with being a female. And most of it's emotional. In order for a masculine who has been programmed with the Inky program, and I haven't found out a way to narrow it down in a chart, but as soon as I do, I'll let y'all know. For him to recover, he'd have to make amends with the feminine energy, and some of them could not mentally in these bodies deal with the psychological or the psyche damage that is done in their soul from things like what I just mentioned about the gang scene, or has seen that happen to their wife and them not being able to help, or times where they were participants in those sort of activities, or times where it happened to them, because that's absolutely something that occurred as well. Getting back your soul memory is great because, like, yeah, you get to talk about stuff, but at the same time, nah, you got to feel all of that and then find a place for how it registers in this life now. Like, you have to make amends with yourself. This really is self versus self the whole time. So this is a horrible, horrible reference, but when I get really like sad and I start like missing the husband that I'm always like thinking of for some reason, never thought of it as like this person is my handler or controller or anything, but definitely his main placements are in that main controller energy, right? I watched like two main movies. All right, maybe three, because I like Fear with Mark Wahlberg. That was like the original. But the other night, I was feeling really bad and I had to watch the movie No One Lives. And I know it's horrible. Don't judge me. We all have shit, or we'll all soon find out that we have shit, because it calms me. No One Lives, and then The Invisible Man. And he's always the Invisible Man character, or the main guy in No One Lives. But that's his energy. That's the energy that he's portrayed in every other life he's been in. And like, it was sort of a comfort that even though I was like sort of like bound to him, not originally by my own wishes, it got to be a comfort that no matter where I went, he would always find me. Like, that became my guideline for love. Like, if he is not a stalker, if he will not like fight, kill, stab a million people to get back to me, then that's not what I want. But that bar is because of a program, because of something that was placed. Like this week, I've had females writing me and they're talking to me about like completely stuff that makes me go, huh? Because the guys aren't that great and they're literally willing to jump off of cliffs for them. And I'm usually in a place where I'm like, that's horrible. I know how you feel. Like maybe you can help them like A, B, C, and D. But as I am like shaking out of that, right? I'm like, nah, baby, what is you doing? And like you can find another one to treat you bad if that's what you're going for. But don't like give up everything that you're meant to do because of this. But it's a program. This is called a lunar female distortion. This bonded a lot of the feminine energies, the queens, uh, to fallens or draconic husbands, so that when you are separated from them because of the MK Ultra type stuff or the trauma that occurred between you guys in order to bond you at a soul level, you feel sick, you feel like you can't live when that person is not around. That movie that I was talking about, that No One Lives, is a great reference for how it goes. There's a girl in there who gets kidnapped and she's with this dude for months. But the whole time she's with him, he does like little things to make her feel like she's bonded to him until the end. She's just like sort of stuck. And like no matter where she goes, she still like can sense him. That's what I'm sensing here is the case with a lot of seventh house placements. And I'm just scrolling through here. So you might see something that triggers you, like the mind control archetype princess code. I can't stand that princess programming shit. It rubs me the wrong way. Whenever I see somebody say, I want princess treatment, it makes me want to punch them in the face. It's like princess is like what I expect from my father, and I won't call a nigga daddy either. You see how mad that made me? Like I don't like that. It doesn't rub me right, and it's not even just like maybe it is because I had a father, but like there are people who have a father who still call that person daddy. That is something to do with this princess code programming stuff, y'all. It's not planetary archetypes. Hold on. Planetary archetype filter that was inserted by the NAA into human consciousness to purposely distort the female principle and the female gender roles. That's what I've been picking up on this whole time. The dark female or the dark mother is what I got for the client I was dealing with. Like her mother purposely was meant to disconnect her from her own femininity so that she began to teach other people like how to be male haters in the future. But she's been fighting through it. She wants love, but it's like the guys they're giving her too are meaning to push her into like energy. And how do you prevent that? That's what I was trying to figure out. If this is based upon the fact that literally her signal is drawing in a particular type of person based upon the design or the holograph or the planetary archetype that is on you. And she has a Lilith archetype, by the way. How do you not do that and still become the empowered version of yourself instead of this princess code, dark mother, or whatever program they got on us, seducer archetype? Like, this is crazy. How do you not become that? I see healing inner violence. Take steps to clear and heal your emotional state, as well as mind, body, and spirit when you recognize inner pain or inner violence towards self or others. To inquire on the nature and source of the pain and fear. Continue to develop skill sets to transcend pain and fear and improve communication skills and lifestyle habits. We have a bevy of tools here in ES. What is ES? I don't know what that means. I'll figure it out. To help with that process. When these skills are mastered as a way of everyday life, they are much easier to apply in husband, wife, partner, spouse, or boyfriend, girlfriend, alchemical union relationships. I'm just going to throw that word in there. Some changes that are unique in these types of Christic partnerships extend further to extremely deep transparency, honesty, and intuitive knowing in the evolving dynamics of a relationship. The new type of Christos-based relationship is ever evolving. Some key descriptors of a Christic union are included in the article. I did see in here, it's nice how that popped up though. Spiritually activated couples. 1212 electric Christ male. If you are seeing 1212, it's because the Christ in you is being woken up. Guys, this is freaking trippy, but amazing. I feel like I can help a lot of people, but I can also piss off a lot of people that are part of the system. Can I get a ratio, y'all? Do y'all not want me to know the ratio of how many people are potentially going to be system people who attack you when you wake up and try to wake the others versus the other info? No. I'm hearing like 60-40, but 40 woke, 60 attack. Or 60 represent the swarmers, the people who are just here of the system. And this is a Matrix Resurrections reference. There's a scene when Neo and Trinity almost come together. And then the big programmers, the ones I've been talking about, are like, swarm, y'all, swarm. Like, you got to make sure they don't escape or they don't come back together. Because two couples that come together, or a spiritually activated couple, shines a light that starts waking up the others. So when the merge between the sixth and the seventh layer, that's soul stuff. Like, do I need to show y'all? Yes, I do. Because I gotta be thorough for y'all to understand. Otherwise, I'm just talking to myself like blah, blah, blah. Etheric bodies. So you are not just this human. The human is the part that has like all the pieces of your other layers together. But there are different layers that have their own body. Like your human is doing a thing, but if your heart is like connected to somebody else, your emotional body will go visit them. Like I was trying to figure out why I had this guy's soul with me all the time, but it's because his emotional or his astral body, one of those likes me. They like the way I make them feel. So while their human is feeling like crap or going through whatever he's going through somewhere, his emotional body will just be hanging out with me, and like somehow that's bringing him calm in his human body where he's at. Because the other parts of you don't care like you're human. Your human is the one with the ego. The rest of them just need what they need, right? So these have to get activated so that you are conscious of what the rest of your body is doing, is what I just like got. But when the merger between the sixth and the seventh layer has reached a certain accretion level, the light body is holding the first layer of the inner template for union. So when you've woken all of this up, like when you've unclogged your chakras, when you have them working at a certain frequency, there becomes a merger. Okay. This is the ascension stage of union that occurs within the three layers of the soul. And the soul is what's damaged, what needs to be fixed in order for us to get fixed. And that intelligence embodies within the cells of the human. At this stage of ascension development, many people magnetize soul family or intimate relationships with another that is also entering into the same ascension stage. Healed people find each other. You meet people at the vibration that you are at anyway. So if you are attracting other controllers, it's because there's still programming on you that has to be broke. But it is broken this life because you were put through the same things that you were put through in other lives to make sure like that the programming was really stuck on there. But once you realize like, hey, I am no longer going to treat guys that treat me like trash because my dad was way too blurry with his boundaries. Like the standard that he had for the people he dated should not have been on the one with his daughter, and that's never my fault. Boom, program broke, right? Then you start attracting people who reflect back to you your acceptance of self. That's what this just said to me. Once you break them programming through the healing thing I read, it calls in new people, new situations that don't mirror what you've been getting on repeat because the energy, the program was stuck in the different layers of your body. For those who have a closed or a broken heart that got broken like forever ago, you're repeating based upon those first couple layers. And I'm going to have to dig into this deeper, guys, because this is me being led through this. I didn't fully understand ahead of time. Like I'll hear an idea in my head, but it's so much information that I can't process it all right away. But when I'm looking at it like this, like, okay, back and forth, it's just I rarely get time to do this because I have like readings and stuff I'm doing for you guys, but I did not consider before that maybe my researching could be content as well. Somebody popped up on one of my posts yesterday and she was like, hey, is there somewhere I could just look at this? Because I don't have hours for researching. And it made me sad because I was like, I used to have hours for researching too. And I missed that. That's how I learned all this stuff. But I don't need hours for researching anymore. I just need to take what this video is going to be like 50 minutes, 125, and allow myself to be led through what I'm being taught at the moment. And then y'all can take the torch on that and go where you need to. I'm learning one part at a time as well. The universal energy field is your aura. Physical self, etheric self, emotional, mental. So you're only connecting to these first three if your heart is broken. You're not aware of what the other pieces of you are doing, nor are they connecting you to other people who are connected to their crown. You're simply connecting to other humans or other people who are non-playable characters, people who are just like only programmed. They didn't have a soul. They put programmed people into the game just to make sure that when you're in this energy, they come along to make sure you stay in that. Like if you you're trying to break out and move into this upper area, they'll send somebody who is exactly what this version of yourself dreams, like your dream woman or man, and that person is gonna fuck you up by bringing back up all the other stuff about yourself that you felt in rotation, just as a way to make sure you don't ascend, as opposed to here with spiritually activated couples. So as a result of reaching the same peak in your ascension stage, working through your stuff, healing, forgiving of self. As a result, spiritualized couples come together to experience and work with the soul frequencies and timelines that are connected to the perfected male and female imbalance. Y'all, This is crazy. This week, Monday, was it Monday? It might have been Sunday. I usually go to sleep to rain sounds. Although I was doing frequency programming for a while, it was irritating to 11. And since we share the room, like, I mean, you're like, all right, whatever, we'll just listen to rain. But he was like different this week. Like, I noticed every day he was coming home listening to gospel music, like he's going through his own thing. So I was able to put on a different frequency. Let me show y'all. Just in case, because like I think part of the reason I got in trouble in so many other lives was for helping people. Like I keep telling y'all, when I start teaching, that's when I start getting attacked. But I didn't realize I was teaching people how to heal their souls so that they can go back home. And that's why I was like, I become public enemy number one. But the first night I went to sleep to this one, and it was healing feminine energy, right? He woke up the next day and I didn't even see him, but he sent me like the longest, most emotional text just thanking me for who I had been in his life. And now he was just so overwhelmed with love for me, right? I'm like, this is crazy. This is not okay. Like, is this manipulation? But no, his feminine energy was down balanced because his mama sort of emasculated him, not in the bad way. It's just she was always in his face like, my poopsie, my baby. And so everybody else in his family would always make fun of him and call him the softie because he was his mom's favorite. But it damaged his feminine energy. Like he didn't want to ever be seen as soft around other guys because they teased him because of how his mom babied him and how he was like just naturally soft and quiet, right? So that was the first night. The next night, I was like, well, I gotta balance that out. I can't just have him walking around here like in his feelings because his heart had already been open for years. And I did not realize that, as I explained to y'all in one of the recent videos. His heart had been open and like his whole personality or his way of going about things had changed. Even though he was still damaged, it was the damage of his energy in his other body. So the next night, as you can see, made it through healing masculine energy. Last night was the one where I put on this, but I found, where are you at? The one that blended them both. This one, as you can see by the red bar again, that's the one I went to sleep to last night. That's literally what this just said are the stages that you need to go through. Like, come into balance. I should be excited, but at the same time, I really be like, what am I in control of? But nothing. My human is the avatar for something bigger. And I'm learning something that I'm going to be able to teach other people because some people are throwing away the person they came to be with for self. Like as you stay down here longer, you get more into self-preservation. The more you get hurt, you're like, I'm not dealing with that shit. And so a whole bunch of people who weren't meant to be alone are trying to be alone now. But that leaves their partner alone. And you don't understand that before you came here, you might have volunteered to save that person. Like you didn't care. You're like, oh my gosh, my person has been stuck down there in hell realm forever. I volunteer as tribute to come down there and help them. But once you get here, you're like, oh my gosh, this person is so damaged. I don't even want to deal with them. They always got a problem. I don't want to parent or take care of them. So you get in a different feminine energy, which is the dark feminine energy. That's why I keep saying I'm not doing the dark thing. I'm doing empowered, which is actually seeming to help me because now I feel like I can assist other people. Like I hope somebody takes the frequency information I just told them and the information that I gave recently about how to open somebody's heart to help their partners. Because it's not like you aren't being sent one. It's just we all got really up in the universal Holocaust, but nobody remembers because they wiped us. So the soul frequencies and timelines that are connected to the perfected male and female imbalance represented in the divine archetypal forces of Christos Michael and Christos Mary Sophia. At this stage of spiritual initiation, some people move out of the karmic 3D relationships and alchemical union lessons to outwardly manifest the first stages of co-creating. Ooh, this is what we wanted. So these spiritually activated couples may endure incredible resistance in dark arts training. Dark arts training, not gonna lie, y'all, that's a bitch. Dark arts training is when you realize that all of the stuff we're talking about is not just cute little knowledge like, oh, aliens exist. Nope. They will show themselves because they want you locked up in the hospital. So dark arts training is when you done fucked around so much you about to find out. I done been there. It was horrible. And the sad thing is, like, everybody in my family besides 211 at the time, because he was still completely under programming, could sense that something was wrong. Like Alexis could see, because she has her own gifts. That's why she helps me with stuff, and she has her own readings and stuff. She could see what the fuck was happening when I was getting jumped. But there's nothing they could do because they did not understand it. So when you are in dark arts training, it's because you have reached a level where your light is so bright that they saw you in the astral and they like, get that one. That one is going to wake up the other one. So firsthand experience with extraterrestrials, awareness of entity attachments, having people around you act as dark portal puppets. That means, yo, the freakiest part of this. I was talking to a family member during this attack. But I realized, and keep in mind, the family member was drinking a lot during this. I looked over and I was like, that's not blank. So I started talking to her like I knew that she was a demon. I was like, yo, I learned my lesson. And Shorty was like, are you sure you learned your lesson? I'm like, I have. I do not want a part of this anymore. So she was like, so we're not going to have this issue again. I'm like, but at that time, I had to have the conversation. But now I'm like, oh my God. Everybody that was around me that I thought was like a legit person actually was a portal for an entity. When it comes to it and you're actually making progress, you can have a conversation with them. A reference for this, because clearly movies have been helping me with my stuff the whole time. It's Fallen. It's a Denzel Washington movie. You can't miss the message if you watch it. But people are portals, and if somebody has been in a low vibration for a long time, they can be used when this dark art training kicks in. So having an unexplained illness that can't be sourced, suddenly you're losing your life force, having awareness of thoughts that are not your own, if you're just scared out of nowhere, if your whole life feels like it's falling apart, it's because they are whipping your ass in another realm because you got too close to breaking your programming. This is dark arts training as a phase of ascension. Yeah, it's the phase before you break through, and it really, really, really sucks. But this message is going to play in somebody's head when it starts happening to them. So me seeing it is for a reason. You will have a completely freaked out moment when you're trying to explain to somebody or doctor or nurse, family member. I got fortunate because I was prepared ahead of time and I never had to go to the hospital. And I knew I wasn't having a psychotic breakdown or anything. I'm like, oh, this is just evil revealing itself. Of course, I was freaked out at the time because I could see it, but I knew I was not crazy. I hope you know when your time comes, you're not crazy. You're just almost out of the. Pull up the pillars again. Did I get rid of it? Ooh, all right. So you're just almost out of the tree of life, death cycles. Ascension is rising up the tree. No matter who you are, if you were born on earth, you start down here in Malkuth. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Malkuth is earth. That's board one, first house of the game, right? 12th house is the end. That's the representation of Keter. You got the crown. Game out. Uno out. But in order to do that, you got to go across the board like the game. Sorry. So you can go straight up through here. Family, fourth house. Then discovering self, fifth house. But no matter who you are, if you decide to go the pillar of severity, fuck around and find out, or if you're just like the victory belongs to Jesus, I'm just going to step into Jesus rules and follow that the rest of the way up the pillar of mercy. No matter who you are, if you want to talk to God yourself, if you want to get to the Wizard of Oz, if you want your own crown so you have your own messages, or that you pair back up with your mate, you have to go through Doth. Doth is known as the abyss. The abyss is where this dark arts training take place. The thing about being pushed to your extreme is that you bypass. You get so scared you're not scared anymore. When I made it through mine, and it took like at least 2 years of darkness, of not knowing, of having to have faith while you're in the dark and while you're being attacked. It's like initiation. When I got to the end, I went to my freaking YouTube to listen to music because I was like toe up. I needed a song, something to calm me down. And a song I had never heard popped up by Tasha Cobbs. And it was the first thing to play today. And it's No Longer Slaves. But it says, I'm no longer a slave to fear because I am a child of God. Like, I know who I am. That's exactly the thing that saved my ass at the end. Like, oh my gosh, no, God is greater than all this. So when I was thinking I had to fight with all my magical astral tool, cool new stuff I had learned, right? That wasn't the case. When it came down to it, when the attack came, like I was almost on the way out, like right up in here, and they're like, no, we can't let this bitch out. Prayer. Like, dear God, please send your angels, send your army, send whatever. I don't even remember what it was because it was like spoken through me. It was like I was hearing my higher self. They couldn't touch me. They ain't been able to touch me since, y'all. Why? Because I stepped back into my crown energy. My son is in 12. This whole time I didn't know how close I was to the finish line because programs, guys. So when you are trying to rise up out, you are going to get that work. That's actually a sign that you're going in the right way. A lot of people, like that sage post I had just said to y'all, said they got saved from the, what is it, new age. Like, I am so happy I got saved from that new age and made my way back to Christ. That's because when you start approaching the part where you find out about stuff like this, you get jumped. And that jumping, that discouragement makes you feel like, see, that's why you don't mess with that. I'm running right back to God. I do not need no more information. But it's a test. Imagine if I can break this down into an easy format that people can understand. It doesn't matter what that book that they've been programmed by means. If I have information that resonates at the level of truth, everybody will get goosebumps. God will back me up. Like after I say something, you'll see signs. Even watching this, you'll see signs and messages throughout the rest of your day confirming what just got said here, because God is the greater force that is trying to remind everybody, I am not dead. You just can't hear me or see me because they inverted your crown. So spiritually activated couples may endure incredible resistance and dark arts training as it becomes imperative to recognize the dark aggression of imposter forces who desire that these couples break up or not continue to do their ascension work. Generally, this means deep emotional healing work. Like, you got to look at your good, your bad, your ugly. You got to be like 1,000. Now I can tell my ass up, like, why are we doing this? And it's not painful, but I mean, it does add a layer of like, oh my gosh, I'm emotional masochist, but it doesn't hurt anymore, and that's the goal I was going for. This just made me think about that character in what is that Tom Hanks movie, The Da Vinci Code, the one that beats himself with belts, and now you can't even hurt him because he has made sure that he is so conditioned that he can't even feel it. But I mean, technically, going into a world where people are going to attack you based on your emotions because that's all they can sense, if your emotions are cleared, you can walk around like Jesus was. When people were throwing stuff at him or saying bad stuff, he'd just be like, bless your heart, because he had already bypassed and locked in with his mate. So, uh, deep emotional healing work, being brave in order to clear and transmute shadow forms, negative and destructive relationship patterns, as all Hierogamic partners are tasked with the hard work of clearing out destructive relationship patterns. In a relationship, we must choose truth and honesty in all interactions in order to flush out deceptions and untrustworthy behaviors. Building a healthy relationship towards spiritual actualization of hierogamic union requires a guts all. Why am I messing this up? I'm reading too fast. My eyes are like, an all guts on the table approach, being able to speak safely in a range of deeply challenging topics, building trust and remaining unconditionally loving and accepting of each other in every circumstance, as well as seeing the vulnerability in the relationship where the dark aggression can target our deepest fears and weaknesses, and being honest about that when it happens, and so to make the effort to emotionally and spiritually heal. So bottom line, what that's saying is, say for instance, the guy I was talking about, right? He might have did some stuff in his life that he didn't feel comfortable. He didn't want nobody to know. Don't want to come around me because he assumes like I'm going to be able to pick it up and he don't want to go in there. He don't even want to look at it himself. Sir, this is the best version of you that you have been in any life. This is good to you. You're doing amazing, sweetie. Like, one life, I pissed him off so bad that the next life he came back and he was a serial killer and offed any bitch that even reminded him of me in the next life. Like, bruh, you done been through some things. There's nothing that you've done in this life that you have not done in the other ones, but you did it way better this time because you're not in jail. So that's the type of honesty you're going to have between you and your partner as your memories start coming in, as you are combining in a relationship. Like, I don't want to say love them like a mother loves her child, because that can vary. But a rule of thumb I've started thinking about this week is Do you want God to love you the way that you love others? If my goal or my gift or my thing is unconditional love, and that's the standard that I'm keeping, like you can still have boundaries, but are you a reflection of God's love for you? Because that's what I keep feeling like I'm being asked. If you meet with somebody and you like fall in love with them and this is your person, this is your partner, are you okay with them being able to tell you everything about what they've done in order to help them better accept and understand themselves? Because that's what God does for you. That's what God does for me. Like whenever I go in prayer, I'm like, hey, is this me being an ass or something? Like, can you heal my heart? Can you help me see like you do? That is the emotional healing that is going to be necessary going forward. You are going to have a consciousness outside of what this place tells you. I always think about like how much good could be done in jails if there were people who went in there without judging them and actually wanted to help them pull up what I call like the thorn in their side, the rose, the original wounds that caused them to become this person. Because no child just starts off like that. Even if you are somebody who was like predisposition to be a killer, it's because there was a program that was put on you from other lifetimes where they wanted you to be this person. If you are a person born without a soul, one can be put in there. It's developing a consciousness. I believe that anybody can be saved. And I'm getting that's the energy I need to have for this. And I need to have a partner that is somebody redeemed, not somebody who's just been an angel their whole life. Like, yes, yes, I'm a perfect construct of what humanity should be. No, it's somebody who came from the trenches, somebody who has been through a lot, because going through a lot makes it easier for you not to judge others. The things you overcome within yourself become a badge of honor and empathy. So, do you love or do you love others in a way that you will want God to love you? For better or worse. I really feel like that's a good rule of thumb. Like, dang, but I want God to judge me like this. Does God judge me like this? And if God doesn't judge me like that, who am I to think that I have the right to judge anybody in that way? Next time I see it or I feel it in myself, I'm gonna take myself back to that moment too. Because Candace Owens posted something the other day, and I'm like, she speaks from a Christian pedestal about like, hey, you can't be gay because I'm a hard believing Christian. But the rest of her platform is bullying different people for different things. Like she was bullying Lizzo this time. But last week it was Kamala. Like she made whole hats, like make Kamala Indian again, because she didn't like the fact that she had a black platform. But I'm like, that's not very Christian like either. And then I was like, all right, she is judging from her hurt. And I am judging from the hurt of others being bullied because I got bullied a lot. I don't think that's fair to anybody. But maybe there's something in her storyline that made her feel like this. May God show her the truth of her actions through other people reflecting them back to her. I feel much better about doing that than me sitting there like, you are a bitch, Candace, because them comments be crazy, right? So, guys, we are all, if we're here having this conversation, ascending, rising up that tree, trying to break out of programs, literal programs, traumas put on your soul, and then a whole new character put on top of you. Like when I first like started figuring out my name, I tried to look me up and like find my other stories. There are a whole bunch of stories from other characters or other eras of me, but like the original, they deleted my ass from history. And so I'm like, why did they delete me? There's only one story here, and that story doesn't even end properly. They didn't explain that I got burnt at the motherfucking stake because they said no woman should have all that power. Like, no, that story's not in here. Why? Because that sets the bar for the potential of the feminine energy here. That lifetime, the original one, when my name was Diana, I was teaching other women how you can use the earth elements and your natural gifts to heal and do stuff. They ain't like that at all. I'm gonna still do it again because the ones with the healed feminine energy have the ability to heal the ones with the damaged masculine energy, and then everybody will be balanced. They broke the hearts, chakras of the dudes. They spiritually decapitated them so that we could not come back together. Because if we come back together, we pull in the energy from the crown, which is this. And I thought I was at the end of this video. I am. It's only like a little more left, but I have to. It's like when you have to sneeze when you're channeling, you know when it's over. And if not, like you feel like something's still stuck in there. This is what was stuck in there. When you come together, guys, when you get with your mate, there are like rewards from source, from ascension. Like y'all are gonna lock in, and then God is gonna stream through you. Like technically, what happened that lifetime, Jesus was alive. He found his partner, and then he was just delivering messages and miracles everywhere. Those miracles were actually physical things that happened, because I can also see in the charts that there are people that can control weather and stuff with their gifts. They just haven't been activated because this system is meant to keep you in the lower chakra. Those are gifts that happen with your upper chakras. Like if you say rain, and it's a gift that's connected to these ones up here, that you send out a beam to like the trees and the clouds and you're able to make it rain, that will only happen when you are healed and all your bodies are in sync. So I got distracted because I noticed the spiritual marriage mathematical pattern of 1313 for the female spinning and 1212 for the male spinning. It's like both energies come together and create a vortex. Oh, like a Merkaba vortex. Merkaba is the way you get to travel together. So no, I'm gonna investigate this way more, guys, so I can like deliver this information with y'all out y'all having to see me put it together like this. But what I do know is the crown is what you get when you pair with your partner. The crown is the crown of God. This overrides that negative crown I was saying that they have that blocks your gifts, that stops you from talking to God. A crucifixion implant is meant to stop you from being an example that other people follow in order to stay in relationships and to work on healing them. They don't want nobody to have this crown. It's like you and your partner can hear each other. Y'all are locked in. Y'all are one, like one heart, one soul, one mind. And your light shines bright. Everybody wants what you have. Now, it causes attacks, but it also causes other people to wake up, is what I'm getting here. That's why it's in Libra placements, because Libra placements are balanced. So if you see in a composite chart that you have Libra stuff with somebody, that's a partner that balances you. Maybe even Taurus, because that's ruled by Venus as well. There's something to this. I will get to the bottom of it, but I have talked y'all ears off for today. Sorry. So while I'm not talking to you guys, this is how I get led around. And I'm going to do more content videos like this and just let y'all see my nerd. I feel way more confident most of the time when I have it all together and I can just teach it. But isn't there like a beauty in you guys saying like, hey, I'm just the person getting led through this. Like y'all, it's just my soul is like super old, but she's like taking over my body and we are becoming one. Like at one point, it'll just be like I instead of us. So whatever. Y'all have a good day. I hope you appreciated this. I look forward to your feedback.